Why we are lacking this particular issue in terms of basic aspects, water, air, soil.
Our urbanization is such that we have thousands of cities, right? About 4,000, even as per the last census, 4,000 statutory, 8,000 census towns.
What is the benefit that the people will get ultimately from this policy change?
Why people come to urban cities, or why are we becoming megacities? Education, healthcare, and job opportunities, or the economic opportunities.
Now the benefit of planning for this, and definitely benefit of planning in a sustainable fashion, is very important.
But constitutionally, if I look at then the city's mayor election is a part of the constitution.
It is going to happen. Like I said, we are going to continue to urbanize and grow. So this will happen. We just have to plan better. And there are ways to plan sustainably for such growth.
दोस्तों, GT Logue पॉडकास्ट के इस एपिसोड में एक बार फिर से आप सब लोगों का स्वागत है। मैं आपका होस्ट अनुराग बाजपेयी, मेरे साथ आज हमारे को होस्ट संदीप नारंग जी हैं और हमारी गेस्ट हैं रजित मैथ्यूज। टू इंट्रोड्यूस Rajit has been working with WRI, World Resources Institute, as a Director of Integrated Urban Development. She also leads the initiative Eco-City Regions. When I say city and regions, I think we understand the regions is larger than the city premise, and the way the cities are expanding, certainly it is getting the shape into a region itself. We have a legacy issues which have been dealt by the urban planning departments in the city. For example, waste management, water, electricity, and so many other law and order related issues. We have newer issues also nowadays. Air quality, maybe we can also say heat waves, cooling, all new types of issues which are also the city is grappling about at this point of time. Let us have this discussion on the new age urban planning scenarios, how the city can be managed and developed better. Let us have the discussion open. Rejeet, maybe I think the first and foremost question I have for you is, we have heard a lot about mayor election of Joran Mamdani.
Right.
He was also talked about in so many newspapers across the globe. My question is, why the mayor election is such a hype talk across the globe, where we in Indian context, we don't see the mayor election is anything in terms of, nobody talks about it. What is your view on this?
The mayor is the boss of the city in global context, but not so much in the Indian context. If you really want a comparison, if you combine sort of the mayor and governor in a global context, the chief minister then becomes the big boss of mega cities.
Of the city.
Of mega cities in
Mega
India. Because when you look at cities like, say, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Calcutta, their economies are equal to small countries in the world, like Morocco, etc. So they're equal to small countries. And the big boss is usually the chief minister, because you have so many parastatal organizations working in the city. Now, somebody at the city level cannot sit on top of them, whether it is water supply, sewage, drainage, buses, electricity, industrial area development boards, housing boards. They're all parastatals, but they all work at a city level. So to become somebody who can coordinate on top of all of that, the big boss is usually the chief minister, because you have to sit on top of state agencies and city agencies. In the US, like Mamdani coming in, other than it being a pleasant surprise, you need that kind of coordination, cooperation in cities. We don't have that. And our mayors typically have terms of 1 year. Very often our mayors, sometimes it's also a reservation. So 1 year it has to go on a reservation candidate. So they're not the bosses of the city, and they're not directly elected either. So they don't have those kind of powers in our context.
But constitutionally, if I look at then the city's mayor election is a part of the constitution. Whereas in case of US, the mayor election is not part of the constitution. It has come up maybe organically. When we have in Indian context, this is something which is part of the constitution in cities. Let's say you have been to Bangalore, and then the Bangalore, we have not seen the mayor election for several years, despite as a constitutional practice. So do you really feel that the city taking care by the state level machinery doing the right justice to the city's issues which are really grappling at this point of time?
No, we should always work towards bringing governance closer to people. And it would be an ideal scenario that the mayor, who is directly elected by the people, right now it's not a direct election even in Bangalore, it is an indirect election.
Yes.
Like once the councillors come in place, they elect or nominate who is the mayor. In our context, that doesn't happen in any of our cities. Now, should the mayor be the boss of the city? Yes. Is it likely in the next few years? No. That's the challenge, right? But it should. You should bring governance as close to the people as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a wish list. It's not happening yet.
Yeah. So let us look at maybe I think today's discussion, which is primarily on the integrated urban development. In your perspective, what is the integrated urban development as a definition?
Right. So, in fact, since we work in the urbanization space, a lot of research we've also done in the urbanization space, I think we should understand cities and how they function in India. So, urbanization is very interesting in India, and we are growing. I mean, we are already now the most populous. We raced out China, 1.46 billion as of today. At 1.46 billion, you have to think about your intersections with, say, environmental sustainability, social development needs, etc. Our urbanization is such that we have thousands of cities, right? About 4,000, even as per the last census, 4,000 statutory, 8,000 census towns. Now, when we look at urbanization, one is cities like where we are. We are sitting in Noida. Noida is part of, joined to Delhi, right? Like, so it's a large agglomeration around Delhi, being the capital. This agglomeration today is one of the largest in the world. We're in the top 5 largest in the world.
Oh.
Not only that, our cities are also amongst the fastest expanding in the world, growing really fast. Surat, where I first met Mr. Sandeep, actually was the fastest growing in the world at one point in the last decade. So we are continuing to grow. We will be the most populous for the next 100 years. So if that is the number of people we have, what does it mean? Because people need a number of things, housing, services, infrastructure. So there's a big strain that's going to come. So that's one part of it, the big city, the small city. So we have a range of cities, very large, medium, small, tiny census towns, villages turning urban, and they're turning urban in situ. It's not even like we're waiting to be part of Delhi or something like that. In situ, see, villages are now having 10,000 people, 20,000 people. They're becoming urban on site. How do you deal with that? And their occupation very often is still rural. There's still agriculture, but we have high population densities. So they need urban services even though they are rural. Then you have sort of the urbanization along corridors. If you drive from here till Jaipur or anywhere you go, the strip development is everywhere. That ribbon that continues on the road. So that kind of urbanization is also occurring
along
in
with
India.
The highway. Yeah.
A lot of our growth, so Indian cities are growing horizontally more. Few cities like say Mumbai are net growing vertically more than horizontally. Very few cities. So Mumbai is growing vertically. Places like Noida and Gurgaon have taller buildings compared to say Delhi. We have much taller buildings here. So few cities are seeing vertical growth, but in general, we are growing horizontally. It's all spreading out. So this has many implications on sustainability, on quality of life, on are we building sustainable cities by design? A lot of implications come. But this is our nature of urbanization. A lot of our growth is outside of municipal boundaries as well. It's all in the peripheries, but 30% of our growth is outside. Now, if you're outside a municipal boundary, it automatically means you don't have access to water supply, sewerage, drainage, a lot of things. How are they managing? It is completely self-provision.
Yeah.
Borewell, private car, like so many ways of managing. At the most, they need an electricity connection. Beyond that, everything is self-provided for. No check on how much water from the ground. Of course, cars, self-STP bana sakte hai, etc. So this is the nature of our urbanization. Now, how do we plan for it ahead is the big question.
Yeah, I think that is always a challenge. So whenever we look at the city, you mentioned the villages also are sprawling with the populous density like anything. But whenever we look at the city or any specific maybe semi-city region or the rural region, the ecological preservation and the developmental aspects, growth, they always go hand in hand. They're supposed to. But in most of the cases, the economic growth is always take the precedence and the ecological or environmental aspects, they take the back seat.
Right.
In general perspective, the cities, when we look at the integrated design perspective, why we are lacking this particular issue in terms of not having enough ecological efforts or concentrated effort to take care of the cities, maybe basic aspects, water, air, maybe soil, all these specific issues.
Right. No, it's critical that we understand that our economy and our well-being comes from ecology. It is our foundation. However, societal needs are such, whether it is housing needs, whether it is mobility needs, communication needs, whether it is machinery for our industries, everything has a base in ecology. So if you look at, and there's a good report which is called the Circularity Gap Report, global report, and they look at, for example, how much material is coming from, say, minerals. About 50% of it comes from, 50% of our material use from nature is minerals. And this is, for example, sand, concrete, sand, stone, all of that you need for construction sector is coming from there. For building houses, commercial areas, etc. Then you have all the ore needs, like for metal, etc., to build your machinery. Then you have all of the nutrition needs. So whether it's forest produce, whether it's agriculture. So everything is coming from nature. And the number that they had is 100 billion tons of nature resources are used to provide us all of this, housing, mobility, etc. The problem is 90% of that is going to waste. In the sense that we take from the nature, we make something and then we waste it. So it's a take, make, waste economy. Unless we solve for this and don't do linear processes, we're going to get stuck in a process that is pushing our planetary boundaries. So planetary boundaries is another well-documented concept. And the understanding is that you're pushing certain boundaries beyond the brink. For example, we've heard of ocean acidification. The corals are getting bleached. Now, if all our waste is going into our water bodies, effluents, plastic, everything is going into the ocean, it is acidifying, it's coral bleaching, it's changing the life forms over there as well. So, whether it's that, whether it is carbon in the atmosphere, heating up because we're pulling out the fossil fuel, whether it is biodiversity loss. So a lot of boundaries are being breached. So, and many of them, if you go beyond a particular boundary stretch, they can never be brought back. So we need to know our ecological boundaries, planetary boundaries, and ensure we don't break them.
When we also look at the newer policies, Rejeet, let's say we have a city now, but we are also developing the regions. For example, National Capital Region, NCR, which has Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, Faridabad, Sonipat, even Meerut. It's almost like 3.5 crore or 350 million population density that we talk about. Making the city to the region, what all the benefits that we look at from the policy perspective and also for the end user perspective. Because we are seeing the replicability also. We have seen how the Lucknow is getting changed to Lucknow Capital Region, where the Unnao and Barabanki, Sitapur, all these nearby satellite towns, they will be part of the region. So what is the benefit that the people will get ultimately from this policy change?
So, because of the way we are urbanizing, a lot of it is unplanned and unserviced growth. Now, the benefit of planning for this, and definitely benefit of planning in a sustainable fashion, is very important. Because globally there are concepts. It's not that we don't have the science or we don't have the knowledge of how to build cities sustainably. It is all there. It has to get implemented on ground. And plans like this, whether it is the Lucknow State Capital Region, Uttar Pradesh State Capital Region, or Delhi NCR, these are regional authorities coming into play. It's there in Mumbai, the Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, BMRD in Bangalore. You need regional authorities because your city is actually pulling resources from the region for consumption. And then you're putting the waste back out. So there is a very high impact. So cities, on a India scale, you will be barely 4% of the built up area. Like the 4% of the land area of India will be the city's footprint, 4 to 6%, based on different numbers you look at. But the impact of the 6% on the rest of the country is enormous because of the resource pulls you're doing. So if cities are the places where the battle for sustainability and climate resilience is to be won, then how do we move forward on this?
Got it.
Now, when you talk about Meerut, they're coming up with the Regional Rapid Transit System.
RRTS.
And in fact, we are helping with one study on its wider economic benefits of the RRTS. It is critical because it does time-space crunching. For example, if we are living in Delhi, and we want to work in Meerut and come back. Normally, it's a car drive about 4 hours, come back. I can't do it in a day. But the moment RRTS comes in, I can go within 1 hour, work there and come back. It becomes feasible for me to go there on a daily basis. So there's a time-space crunch that has happened. Now, literally, I live in Gurgaon. My office is in Delhi. And this podcast you all invited me to Noida. How do I do this? How do we manage all of this? We are actually in 3 different states. My workplace, my home, and now this place for podcast, right? The metro is a fantastic option, right? I actually take all my trips to office by metro. So from home to office, it's a metro. From there to here, it's metro, and all can be done within a 1 hour journey. So it is possible to do in the same day. Now, this kind of transportation linkages are critical to connect your region. Why it's also important from a resilience perspective, I'm talking economic resilience as well, is because very often, say a husband and wife, you might have different jobs in different sectors, but you want to live in one place. Now, supposing I'm living in a smaller city and only my husband can get a job for his profile, what do? But the moment I'm living here in Gurgaon, he might have a job in Noida, I might have a job in Delhi. We can manage it in the same day. So it's a lot of economic resilience. If, say, an economy collapses in one of these sub-centers, because these are polycentric developments, I still have an option somewhere else, because I can go to Ghaziabad or Faridabad or something. So this is great for economic resilience. And we know the benefits of public transport. That's something we've also worked on for a very long time. Really moving people from private vehicles to public transport helps on so many counts. Whether it is, the per capita emissions, whether it is safe for me, for example, as a woman, I know it is safe. Even if I have a meeting quite late, I know that I can come by metro versus figuring out my other options of traveling alone. So great benefits overall on having such transport systems.
Maybe I think a couple of points that comes to my mind also. For example, we have one employee who is based in Meerut. When he joined, he decided that he will certainly be having a place here in Noida so that the work time can be maintained.
Right.
When RRT starts, he switched to Meerut, and that is how I think he manages being at home and then coming at the office also on time.
Right.
Which was not possible without the RRTS or rapid transit system.
It's great for his family also. I mean, because otherwise he's living here alone and family is there. So that also works out. Yeah.
And maybe I think the second point is also, let's say most of the people in Meerut, Sonipat, in these regions, they also had this aspiration, or still may have, to have an a location or to establish an establishment in, let's say, Noida, Delhi, Gurgaon,
Right.
just because they or their kids to have a specific maybe setup in Delhi or nearby Delhi.
Right.
But with the connectivity, I think that is something which has defied the requirement, because they don't need it now.
Right.
All they want, that they just need the, maybe I think take the metro, the rapid metro, and then come to the workplace. So I think that migration is also one thing which may maybe I think may look into it as a benefit.
Right.
Maybe I think reverse migration component as a benefit to the overall region as well. They may stick around.
Absolutely. Because when they first put in the yellow line from Delhi to Gurgaon, people thought Gurgaon people need to come to Delhi for work, right? Like our jobs or something like that. Now, and we've studied the economic structure of the Delhi NCR, and Gurgaon has become that hub of IT, ITS, management consulting, all of the financial jobs. So all of the new sectors actually are concentrating in Gurgaon. So in the morning, I actually need to go to Delhi because my office is there. The rush hour is actually in the opposite direction. It is people from Delhi coming to Gurgaon for these jobs. So they've actually had an opportunity to find these sector jobs, which otherwise they were going to Mumbai, Bangalore, other places. Now they come to Gurgaon and go back. So it helps in so many ways to connect two places. You don't know in which way the flow is going to happen. So it has helped both ways, just like the example of, you don't need to come anymore and stay here. You can do it from there. Yeah.
Coming to the example we are talking about of Gurgaon. So are there any policies in place, or should there be more policies in place about decentralization? Because why people come to urban cities, or why are they becoming megacities? Education, healthcare, and job opportunities, or the economic opportunities. Now, India came up with Amrut plan of developing tier 2 cities, 100 Amrit cities. So shouldn't there be more focus on developing second 2-tier cities for healthcare, infrastructure, and where the people can have the education, healthcare, and job opportunities, number one. Number two, I was reading somewhere that now Delhi was capital since British era. Many of the offices, even central government offices, so I will name one, Indian Coast Guard, it occupies a place just near to India Gate. And I was reading in the newspaper, why shouldn't these offices, there are many of them, shouldn't be shifted to Visakhapatnam, tier 2 city, or somewhere near Visakhapatnam for the reverse migration, what Anurag was talking. What are your takes on this?
Right. I think that is an evolving space and more possible now. Earlier, if I have reached a certain level of education, I need to be in the big city because of economies of scale. You need certain, like it's a quaternary sector job. The policy space is a quaternary, not even primary, secondary, tertiary. It's a quaternary sector job. So you need to be in certain places because there is economies of scale, services like hospitals, multi-speciality hospitals, which a small city cannot have the threshold for. Educational institutions, you want higher education, universities, etc. for your children. So you will choose to move to the big city. The other thing was we always had to turn up at work, right? You have to go and show your face. You didn't have remote work before. So these big cities were critical for these kind of jobs, etc. Now, and nudged by technology, AI, COVID, the remote work has increased a lot. My own team is all over India. I literally have a team member who is in Pala in Kerala, Nagarkoil in Tamil Nadu. So people are everywhere now, in Bodoland. So it's possible to work together. They've all managed, great education degrees by coming to the big city again, because the top level universities are still in the big cities. They've taken their education and gone back to their hometowns. So we've got very high quality resources, very innovative people who are able to sit remotely and work with us. So that's also working. Now, are you able to pull all knowledge workers to smaller cities? We'll have to see, because they still want access to the big university, the multi-specialty hospital, etc. You can decentralize. And when you're asking about policy and governance, they might have been thinking about the government prioritizing big cities earlier and not doing enough for small cities, but that has changed. Amrut itself, expanded to 500 cities. Now they're saying statutory towns can apply. The Urban Challenge Fund had announced that for cities under 1 lakh, they will give a special sort of credit guarantee of about 70% of project costs. So that tier of thinking, the thinking to go down to smaller tiers of cities has come into the policy and program space. We have assisted on a program in Uttar Pradesh. They came up with the Aspirational Cities program. Very interesting program. It is for the smallest cities, almost like when we say bottom 100. Those that have just turned Nagar Panchayat to municipal council corporation. So these are cities which are 20,000 to 80,000 population. Very interesting because when we talk about infrastructure, how do you right size infrastructure? Because if it is a city of say 20,000 people, you can't put up big STPs. That's a huge drain on energy, huge cost. But there are many smart ways to do treatment of liquid waste. So these kind of innovations also have to come in when we look at decentralizing, going out and all of that. So it's much more possible now with not only technology, but also innovations.
I think I'll go back and touch one point that you have made, Rejeet. You mentioned the term take, make and waste.
Right.
Looking at, maybe I think your home state, Kerala, which is primarily the tourism-based economy. Right. How this maybe the specific, because when we look at the Kerala is fairly cleaner state compared to the other states in northern part of the country, and so how this state has managed the waste component, or maybe I think the ecological component better than the other state in the northern part of the country. What is your take on this?
So I'm ancestrally from Kerala.
Yeah.
I have not lived in Kerala.
Yeah.
So,
that's fine. I think in general people have the identity related to the city.
Right.
Yeah, so I am from Lucknow, so I always feel proud that the city is having a maybe heritage legacy.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have family whom we used to meet every summer holidays and all of that. I mean, I am a Keralite. Kerala has its own set of challenges, especially environmental hazards. So whether it's the floods we've seen, the landslides, heavy rain, so they are managing all of that as well. What they've really done well on is instituting local governance, right? Like through missions like Kudambashri, they have workers at every ground level. And my colleagues who are in Kerala, they always mention, I remember one of my colleagues, her son fell ill, and it was around COVID and all of that, and everyone's concerned. They always had a health worker coming and checking up on them. Now, for me in Gurgaon, nobody comes and checks on me or my son or anything. But every week they come and check on health status. Are your tests done? Have you recovered? So there's so much follow up because they've decentralized through things like the Kudambashri missions that they have. Of course, it's also fairly developed.
That is a trust which takes care of these?
These are set up by the state government.
By the state government.
And then they have local self-governance over there.
Supported.
So then these Kudambashri workers come in to help. It's almost like your Asha worker.
Yes.
Same sort of comparison. So that's one. Of course, Kerala is almost like a mini developed country sitting in India.
Yeah.
Education levels are high. They've also claimed that now they don't have, extreme poverty anymore in the state. So they've reached certain levels of development over time. So that's different. And then, of course, they manage all their disaster-proof plans, etc. They have great collaborations internationally, nationally to figure out their systems as well. So, yeah, I think they're doing well, of course.
Kerala is one big example of how literacy, 100% literacy can achieve you many, many things. So comparing Kerala to a northern state, we are far behind in the literacy level coming to either Uttar Pradesh or Haryana. So if we can match up that literacy rate, many things will improve anyhow.
Absolutely. And that should be, when we were talking about 1.46 billion people, we are a very young country. Our average age is 27, 28 in the country, and we have about more than 70% of our population is in the working age group, up to about 60 plus. So what is it we're doing for our youth? Because we have the youth, but we don't necessarily have the skill levels. Our education levels, our skill levels are still lagging. And the global north countries, as you know, they have declining population rates. So we've also gone below the replacement rate now. We're at 1.9. So which is for 2 people, you have only 1.9 children coming. So you're already below replacement rate. So we're already there. But when you have global cities that are declining, I remember a colleague from Denmark was saying that in 500 years we will disappear. Like they won't have people anymore because they're declining so fast. But these countries need youth. They have developed economies and their economies can grow, but they need human resources to run it. India can provide that youth to the world, but are we skilled enough to go and work in these economies is the problem, is the gap that we need to solve for it.
I understand. I think when we look at I was going through one report and then it was also mentioning that the population growth is almost as a plateau level and then the decline is already started. Then there is also a hypothesis that the way we are declining in terms of the population, the climate change issues which are visible now may not be there after 50 to 100 years because the issues have been there because of the population density and their aspirations and the growth. But the more we are going down in terms of the numbers, this issue in terms of climate change will get resolved automatically. We don't need to do.
There are movies on this, these dystopian movies about reducing population. But anyway, in the Indian context, we have gone below replacement rate. So we're at 1.9 children per woman. However, because we have such a momentum of population, in absolute numbers, we are still growing. So we will 1.47 right now, we will reach about 1.7 billion by mid-2060s.
Yes.
After that, we will start declining. So we will, like I said, we'll still remain the most populous for another 100 years. 2100 May we will be about 1.5 billion. So that's sort of the projection. So we are continuing to grow. We will reach 1.7 billion in 2060. So we have to plan for that.
Yes, let's be positive on this. I have one more, maybe I think case or question. When we look at the UP as a state, we have seen the developmental growth, or maybe I think the population migration from eastern UP to central UP to western UP to, let's say, Gurgaon or the more Mumbai or such, maybe Bangalore, maybe I think more like a more urban center. And this is because of the aspirational requirement.
Right.
When we look at the mega infrastructure like Jewar Airport coming up in the western UP part, how the particular infrastructure is going to change the overall, maybe I think the dynamic of the city. I think that is something which is very much important because the overall city, or I would say the region, is going to get changed like anything. Your husband's birthplace is Agra, and then Agra also has initiated the greater Agra region. It means that all these cities will also, so Jewar is in between the Noida and Agra.
Right.
Agra is also enhancing the boundary. Noida already has the greater Noida and then Yamuna Expressway. Ultimately, Agra and Noida will always be fully developed in maybe I think next 10 to 20 years.
Right.
How the overall city will, maybe I think how the airport as a mega infrastructure will change the overall face or facade of the region. What is your view or perspective on this?
Right. So as you were talking about in Uttar Pradesh, you can see that the more developed regions are pulling in the migration.
Yeah.
And it is always a wage difference. So supposing, say we have help at home, and they might be from, say, Eastern UP, Orissa, Bengal, etc. Now, locally, they might earn, say, about 6,000 to 8,000 maximum per month. I'm talking about wage earners. The moment they come to a place like Gurgaon, they can get 15,000 to 20,000 helping out in households. So that wage differential is a big difference. So they will keep moving to places with higher wages. So we are seeing that migration happening. Now, the whole move towards Delhi. So this is the agglomeration effect. So if you are next to such a mega agglomeration, and which also is one of the leading economies of India. In fact, Delhi agglomeration and Mumbai agglomeration compete to be the richest agglomeration in India. Now, you will keep, if you want to be a thriving center, one good strategy is to connect to a leading center. So if you're a lagging center, connect to a leading center through RRTS, through other methods. Immediately growth happens both ways. So these are strategies also used in terms of helping regions that are not leading. It is going to happen. Like I said, we are going to continue to urbanize and grow. So this will happen. We just have to plan better. And there are ways to plan sustainably for such growth.
So, Rejeet, when you mention sustainability or sustainability, I think it is a very wide term. When we look at the city level, we look at the the land reform component, where the municipality or the development authorities have a role to play. We look at the electricity, where the electricity department has a role to play. Water comes from the municipality and maybe other regions as well. How we have often, maybe I think we have seen that these departments, they are not integrated. You represent integrated urban development at WRI. How do you see that? Maybe do you see that these departments can be integrated and can develop the maybe well-planned city in future? Maybe I think the older cities or maybe existing cities will have such issues in terms of maybe I think maybe integrating these challenges very often. But the newer cities like Amravati, they have a chance, and we really wish that they should not face such issues. In most of the cases, we have seen that the new road just is getting developed, and then after 6 months or after maybe a year, there is an electricity line, then there's a water line. Every time you just dug up the soil, and there's a lot of air pollution which gets happened because of this. There's a lot of traffic jam which gets happened. Most of the cities in our country at this point of time are maybe I think are cluttered with these maybe ad hoc developments, and then a lot of maybe I think the lives, the maybe economic losses are because of these issues as well. How do you see that? Or maybe I think what is your perception in terms of how we can build to a better integrated ecosystem within a city? How these cities can talk to each other? Maybe I think one more point. Do we need an integrating department which can talk to all these departments, or there is any policy level interventions that is required at the maybe state level or city level which can help these reforms coming to the cities faster?
Right. No, absolutely. And we were talking about parastatals when we started our conversation. Who's the boss of the city? Because there are so many departments at the city level, state level, etc., all operating in the city. There is an interesting way to go about this, which is called strategic spatial planning. Now, in strategic planning, the way you go about it is currently in our cities we use land use planning. Which is basically any building, even this building, on the land use map, you will see, do you have commercial, do you have residential, you'll see a use to it, and there's a regulation. This much setback, this much height is allowed, all of that. Now that is the statutory layer, like the legal layer on which you are building. However, in a city, there are agencies coming and putting up metro rail. That's 70,000 crores put into, say, a Bangalore's metro rail. You have agencies that do industrial area development, housing board development. So many parastatals, many of them have land acquisition capabilities as well. They can acquire the land and develop it. They don't need to talk to the municipal corporation or the master plan, because they might just develop just outside the master plan, right? Like they're all in the peripheries. And we're talking about peripheral growth being tremendous in India. Our inner cities are actually very sustainable, very often planned. Delhi's Connaught Place and all that, of course, planned. Areas like, say, Jayanagar in Bangalore is very well planned. Indiranagar, these are all layouts. So many areas in the inner cities are actually well developed because you have adequate road network, road hierarchies, etc. So retrofitting that is the simplest. Our peripheries are the problem because new road networks are almost never in place beyond the expressway. There's a major road that's running through, but after that expressway, the arterial, sub-arterial collector is not there. The rural, one small road will come and a huge gated community comes up. That's a big problem. You haven't broken up your block sizes right. So all of these are problems. So now how do we solve it through strategic spatial planning? This is done in many global contexts. We were talking about New York. New York has a very good process of doing the mayor plans, right? So if you look at from their previous mayors, whether it was Michael Bloomberg and Bill Blasio and the other mayors who preceded Mr. Mamdani, they do strategic plans. In strategic plans, the mayor, who is the boss of the city, is able to convene all the departments. So he brings, whether it's transport, whether it's industry, whoever it is, all departments have to come to a table. It is not a statutory process. It's a negotiation of what are your big projects for the city. All of those are listed because mega projects. The moment you put a big road or a big rail, you're going to change the face of that land and development is going to come towards big investments. So these big projects are all brought onto one table. There's a negotiation process of prioritization, of checking which one is coming where. Are you two projects coming together? Then there's a synergy to be built. They bring projects in a way that cumulatively you have a higher impact than just standalone projects, one hospital there, one industry there. No, they bring it together, connect it. So if I have this big land that is going for redevelopment, I will ensure my metro rail is coming to hit that as a station. My electricity department will supply there. My water supply department will supply there. So the whole planning comes together in an integrated way. This is how you bring multiple departments together, multiple agencies and projects together, agree on timelines. Here, then you'll have a lead agency and you'll have support agencies. So that's all structured, financed, and then monitored. So this is a way to bring everybody together and plan together. And then that can be realized through a statutory plan like the land use plan. Because you have to put that right color and the regulation on it.
Which is not happening at this point of time?
At this point of time, no. We have different parastatals operating on their own. And the Bangalore case is one where they have attempted to bring it all together through a new, governance reform is very needed in India. Our cities are not what they were, in colonial times. Our legislation is still colonial. It's still, we're just inheriting the legislation and we are not modifying it fast enough. Bangalore has attempted it. We'll have to see. It's very new, literally this year. So we'll have to see, does it work? How can we innovate and experiment further on this? We need it. And like I was saying, if we have the largest cities in the world, we have no precedent. We cannot copy anymore from Western, planning frameworks, etc. We have to devise our own. We can learn from it, take learnings so that we don't make the same mistakes, adapt some of it, but we have to innovate and learn on our own as well. We are peerless now in our city sizes.
One more question. We have, maybe I think in UP itself, we have, let's say, one set of location or geographic locations, which talks about the mayor-based or maybe I think commissionary-based setup. The newer setups where we are seeing in terms of UPSIDC, let's say, where we talk about the Noida State Industrial Development Agencies, let's say Noida, Greater Noida, Yamuna Expressway, they come the industrial development zone. And they are run not by the mayor or commissionary system, but by the CEO or the corporate mechanism.
Right.
When we look at the UP as a whole system, maybe I think as the complete state, we really see that there is a benefit of running the city from a corporate perspective, where the CEO is an IAS officer. He looks after every set of departments, and then we see there's a lot of benefit in this. Why the system which is better is not being replicated in other set of, maybe I think, locations?
Right. So industrial towns like Noida, Greater Noida are also there across the country. Jamshedpur is one of our older examples. So industrial towns exist. Ideally, in the normal course, once they grow beyond a particular size, they ideally transform into municipal corporations. In some cases, as we know, they have not. Now, this is a question of democracy. Do you want the right to vote Do you want the right to choose your leader? So if you want to bring all of that in, you will transition into a municipal corporation. As far as efficiency is concerned, we need to bring corporate efficiency into our municipal corporations. Rather than say we don't need municipal corporations, we have to bring municipal cadre in who is efficient, who is able to deliver. You have to give parameters and benchmarks for performance. Are you delivering services efficiently? Are you managing your fiscal autonomy? Are you able to make revenue to make you fiscally autonomous? All of that has to come in. We have to bring those aspects into these areas, not do away with them.
Very nice. Okay. One more question that comes to my mind. When we look at the newer issues, I mentioned in the beginning that we look at the waste management, air quality, and then the heat waves and the cooling. Waste has been the legacy issue in any case. But when we look at the Indore as a maybe role model, why the model is not being replicated well? We always claim that the consumer behavior, or maybe I think the mindset of the people in the city of Indore has changed. There should be some benefit, or there should be some reason why the mindset has been changed. Why this mindset is not being maybe I think changed in other cities.
Right. Indore is a case of leadership also. So whether it was a very proactive mayor and a proactive commissioner coming in to lead the charge and then bringing people on board, communication is critical because very often and education doesn't matter, right? Like it's not about you're more educated so you know how to act better. No, it doesn't matter. Just the knowledge of why this is important to your health, to your city's sustainability, to so many other reasons is enough to bring people together. And in this case, they brought about that behavior shift. They brought about the pride in, we have now, going to be cleaner. We have ranked ourselves first. So it's a number of things that came together. And then, of course, you need technology, the science of how you segregate, how do you recycle. So all of that has to come together. So leadership has been great to get this done in Indore.
Have you been working with all the three cities, Indore, Surat and Navi Mumbai? And all the good discussion is about the narrative, what I feel. There is a beautiful narrative go to Surat. There is a narrative, we want to be number one. Go to Navi Mumbai, you will see all the signs over there. We want to be number one or number two. We are there. So they are creating those narratives within the populace. So go to Surat, get down from the airport. We are number one. We will be number one for the next year also. So there is a narrative. There is a pride, as Rejeet pointed out. But again, Rejeet, dwelling further, why can't be more Indores or Surats in India? You work pan India, so please elaborate on this.
Well, if you ask me what should we do as a critical next step, we have to improve municipal cadres, and this is the problem across our all our states. And I do work in, say, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, many, Bangalore, etc. We work in Assam as well. Unless that municipal cadre is capable, you have enough capacity, enough number of officers, you will not reach there. So, like I said, the concepts are there of how to grow sustainably, how to be resilient. The science is there. We need people to understand it and implement it on the ground. That is a missing layer. Municipal cadre needs great upgradation everywhere. And we have thousands of cities. So when you go down the level, you will barely get like one EO, one executive officer sitting at a municipal corporation. Very often he has shared responsibilities of about 5 smaller cities around him. So unless these kind of jobs are prioritized, unless the youth find government jobs, like when my parents or my grandparents were around, government job was a big thing. Everybody wanted a government job. It is not as desirable anymore. So we have to make it desirable. You have to give the right pay. You have to give the right incentives. Then you will have a municipal cadre who wants to do this.
Actually, it's one of the bad things about it. You go to any engineering college and they have the preference of engineering disciplines. Computer science is the first, then comes electronics, mechanical, the last one is the environmental engineering.
And city management is now a course I'm seeing in places, thankfully. I think Ahmedabad probably started the first city management course. You need professionals to run cities. It cannot be reactive management.
It has to be prioritized. This engineering of urban development or urban science, it has to be right up there in the priority as good as computer science, because see the impact the cities will be making on the human health, human lives.
Sir, you mentioned Surat and Mumbai. Navi Mumbai. But I have recently read in one of the reports that the Surat, which was envisaged as one of the growing city, is grappling with the issues in terms of not maybe attracting enough customers for the city's business, because most of the maybe jewelry businesses, they have the corporate offices in Mumbai, and just because the city was not well connected, is not well connected through the maybe I think through the airport or through the maybe great road transport, most of the bigger companies which have the maybe I think set up in Surat, they are shifting the base to other maybe I think Mumbai, just because enough connectivity, and most of the clients, they don't want to visit Surat, they want to visit Mumbai because of the better connectivity. Why this is such a common thing? It is not something which we or the city people or the maybe higher officials, they can't understand. Why they are not looking at this as a maybe visible issue, which is resolvable issue at this point of time? Why the city is getting killed just because of maybe I think less attention, or if the report is incorrect? What is your perspective?
Right. So, in fact, we have had some work in Surat recently. It has been identified as a growth hub through Niti Aayog. They've made a economic development plan for the city, where a lot of these concerns were addressed and looked at. How do you move the economy, up the value chain and higher GDP levels, etc. So the Mumbai, Surat, Ahmedabad high-speed rail is coming up. So Surat will now be connected to Mumbai within 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours. So if that connectivity happens, the hesitation of should I have my head office here, head office there, suddenly is improved because that connectivity to Mumbai is literally 2 hours, I think. I'm forgetting the time span, maybe 1 or 2 hours away. 2 hours, I think. Second, Surat has started international flights. So that access to global markets, and not many flights, but I think about 3-4 destinations have started. So they're figuring out their global connections. They did take some hit during COVID and the Russian war, etc. that's going on right now, because a lot of diamonds actually come from these locations. So in this conflict era, there's been some lag to source the diamonds, etc. Because diamond is one of their major industries. Textile is another major industry. Surat is looking to move up the value chain. So, for example, in textiles, while they have a lot of manufacturing, they have not moved up to, say, making good apparel, having brands. Same in diamonds, right? They don't have the brand, like they don't have De Beers or other brands. So they are figuring out their ways to move up the value chain. Entrepreneurial culture is very high in Surat. So I think it's only a matter of that little tipping point to move forward. I do think there's a lot of potential.
So let us discuss about the current issues. Let's say air quality. We have seen how the northern part of the country, which is primarily the part of the Indo-Gangetic plain, is facing a hue and cry issue. It's a crisis altogether in terms of having an acute a challenge in terms of breathing the better quality of air.
Right.
And this issue is not only about the India, but maybe I think the whole region, all, let's say, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, UAE, MENA region. The whole region is facing some issue, but certainly I think when we look at the Delhi or some other specific satellite cities, this issue is very, very much like alarming.
Right.
We are breathing almost like 400 to 500 PM 2.5 level, which is a health hazard level. And that is a challenge. I I was there, I think, a few couple of months before in UAE, and we understand the overall economy is shifting from oil-based to the tourism-based, and the average maybe the PM level 2.5 level is 70 to 80 because of the finer sand particles. And some of the locations which are there, industrial locations, they have a 150 to 200. That is the average annual they have.
Right.
And they are trying to make the shift in terms of the importance from all the issues shifting towards the air quality issues. They also adding the indoor air quality issues as well, because the air quality issues has a direct impact on the human health.
Absolutely.
In general, what we have seen that we are utter negligent in terms of looking at the public health data. We don't correlate this data with the maybe other economic developmental challenges. But when we look at the cities machinery, I understand that WRI has done a lot of work in different cities, but in general, we are not seeing much of the improvement at the city level, and the entire northern part of the country is actually facing a lot of challenges for last at least maybe I think 3-4 years, barring the COVID year where the situation was better. Maybe I think the same situation would have been earlier as well, maybe I think 10 to 15 years back. But in the current scenario, we see there is a lot of issues, and people in general are trying to migrate from maybe densely populated cities like Delhi to maybe smaller cities. What is your perspective? How we can maybe I think look at the issue with more maybe I think concerning voice, so that the city stakeholders can look at it as a maybe I think a specific crisis and try to bring the stakeholder to solve this problem.
I will add one more layer to this question. So when we talk about bad air, we talk about the sources contributing to the bad air. People usually talk about automobile emissions, road dust, construction emissions, industrial emissions. Talking to an urban planner, or that's your expertise, is not so good urban design. I won't call it a bad urban design. I will say not so good urban design with respect to air quality, or what should be air quality. Do shed some light on it, please. And what can be done for the futuristic cities we are talking about?
Right. So, complex problem. I was shocked just this week. My colleague who's from Kashmir, he sent us an article saying Kashmir's air quality has reached 300.
Oh my God.
AQI 300. It's all pervasive. Like if it's reached the intermountainous valley of Himalayas, I mean, it's human activity, right?
Yeah.
So, complex problem. I do think one of the challenges is that we don't look at it systematically. Like it is interconnected systems. So a systems approach has to come into problems like air quality. In terms of building design, like you were asking me from an urban design, building design perspective, if your air itself is polluted, what can you do in terms of building? We are proponents of passive design, for example, where you use natural light, you use natural ventilation. It is so difficult to do that when your air is so dirty. For example, my own son's school in Gurgaon, they actually brought together a small committee quickly to say what to do about air quality in this time, because you can't shut school for 3 months. What do we do? Because they have open corridors, ventilated air. And now they have to seal everything because you can't have bad air quality coming in. So the solutions are finally sealed windows and doors, air purifiers, what else to do? So these kind of issues. Now, unless we tackle the source, it is not a building design. Building design, we are protecting ourselves. We should have clean air, water, clean. This is constitutional rights to life, right? Like clean air, clean water, clean soil, as constitutional rights. So we have to go back to source. How do we mitigate pollution? We have to go back to those strategies only. It cannot be, the building cannot change to accommodate the pollution. I mean, I've seen moss bricks. Many new innovations are coming in. but fundamentally we need clean air. I think those are not, you can't compromise. We have to go there.
It reminds me of 95, 96. So we were doing some works in Gurgaon, and at the same time the expressway was being constructed, Gurgaon Expressway. So the gentleman was part of the team of Huda, very senior person. So I was conversing with him. I told him that the expressway is so big, because without the dividers and everything, it looked so big that I said that we can land 2 or 3 aircrafts on it. The gentleman told me, I don't want to put the names to the person. He told me, Sandeep, the design is faulty. The design is faulty and the assumptions are wrong. This express will be out of use within two years. So I thought you might be such a big express. I've never seen so big expressway with 8 or 12 lanes being done in my lifetime of being a civil engineer, and it was very rightly done. 2 years into the expressway, all the toll plazas were gone because there were traffic jams amounting to 45-50 minutes. That's how I feel that our urban design part or our transport design part, maybe now we are all talking about the automobile emissions of the traffic jams causing this. This is how I feel that we should design, or the urban design for at least futuristic cities should have this element of no traffic jams happening. NCAP document talks about all the side berms being covered. There shouldn't be any. Either it has to be green or it has to be fully done footpath. You can't leave it green because we have this alluvial soil where the soil just comes into or particulate matter hangs into the air, creating AQI going up, as you rightly pointed out, even Srinagar or anywhere. Go to any Mumbai. Has anyone, we never expected in our lifetime that Mumbai will be facing this type of air quality. So the urban design or the cities have to be designed for good air. That's how I feel. I believe that should be one of the aspects being added to or must be taught at the education level also. How do you plan for it?
And fundamentally, you have to get in the regulations, because I can design so many things, but if the air coming in is terrible, who is checking industrial pollution? What are the norms? Are they enforced? The amount of private vehicles being sanctioned out. You're putting in a metro system, who is using it? It's also a higher cost. I mean, for example, I remember somebody who comes to clean our office, he lives in Faridabad. So I said, abhi metro lete hain, because I come from Gurgaon, so we are on same line. I said, abhi metro lete hain. He said, no, it is above his affordability. Because it's 40 rupees, 50 rupees one way, bus is half of that cost. So then we realized that the person who's cleaning the office is coming from further than me. He can't afford it. So then we figured out, how do we help him out? But for the common person, what do you do? Because the affordability is too high even for a metro. And the people who live next to the metro, because when you put in an infrastructure which is 300 to 500 crores a kilometer, underground and all of that metro, the property around is very high value. So there is a certain profile of people who live next to metro or very close to metro areas who are using cars. They're not coming into the metro. So this whole mindset change, like we're saying, going back to the universities to say that increase in income does not mean you don't take public transport and that you immediately shift to a car. So a lot of these shifts also have to happen. Take public transport. Leave the car at home. If you have to buy a fancy car that shows you spent 1 crore on it, you keep it at home. Show it on the weekend. But on your daily travels, you please take the metro or some public transport. So all of these mindset shifts have to come into our cities. I can plan anyway, but how do I shift this?
One more thing that I have learned when I was at AC Mode, Kathmandu, where they have a science-based data in terms of how the air quality is integrated with the climate change. So they also mentioned that the particles which are let's say 2.5 or lesser, when we look at the Hindu Kush Himalaya as a region and the Indo-Gangetic Plain, whatever is the finer particles, they because of the air shed effect, they travel and they get accumulated over the glaciers. and the upper layer of the glaciers is bit darker. They call it as a black carbon, and because of the darker shade, it attracts more radiation.
Yeah.
And because of the higher radiation absorption, the melting of the glacier is getting higher, and that is how a lot of these floods or these climate change issues, which are maybe the after maybe integration of these such issues at the broader level, and that is something.
Absolutely. The reason we, at WRI we have an Eco-City Regions program.
Yeah.
In one way, the reason to do that was we've spoken about, say, the Brundtland Commission of the 80s, so spoke about sustainability. We had the COP happening a month ago. There's all of this, and there's all of the science also on how to act on cities. But finally, you have to give sort of like a standard operating procedure. What do you do in your cities, right? What guides you to build and develop? A place like Srinagar, you're talking about glacial melt, so that came to my mind. Their water supply, like I remember the first time we started working in Srinagar, I spoke to my colleague there, and I said, so, we're trying to do an assessment, and it's like, water supply kahan se aata hai? Like, just kind of thing. He's like, glacier. And for us, it is, you can't think of that, right? Like, so they are so dependent on these glaciers for water supply through the year.
Yes.
The fact that it melts slowly is important to sustain their water supply through the year. If it's all going to melt rapidly, the rest of the year, how will they manage? They don't have, it's a valley surrounded by mountains. So their sustaining itself is going to be very, very, problematic.
Srinagar had the worst flooding, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. Yes. Just post-COVID or during the COVID. It was all melting of
and higher rains. And then the whole, how do you develop cities? Coming back to the planning and design thing. So we do something called a land suitability analysis, for example, for city regions. Land suitability analysis.
Very nice.
This will tell you where to build and where not to build. Because the way our cities are sprawling, they are growing everywhere. Like, because our dated planning systems didn't have this understanding of, for example, if you have a network of, say, water bodies, at the end of the day, there is a particular slope to that. One water body is draining into the next, like that's how it's going. But we think locally in summer, ye to dry tha, fill kar diya, building bana di. You don't realize when monsoon comes, you're going to flood over there. And it's going to destroy the property. We were seeing in our cities what's happening. So that lay of the land, understanding your geomorphology, understanding your systems, like where your water goes, where your forests are, have to come in as a pre-consideration to any kind of planning or building construction activity. Most recently in Assam, we are working in the Borderland Territorial Region. It's actually a tribal region. So that's why they are under Schedule 6 of the Constitution. They have their own parliament and, the chief of the Borderland area. We did a land suitability analysis for them because it's a region that has come out of conflict, ethnic conflict and all of that. They've had peace for the last few years. So now they're on a development trajectory because they've managed to, broker peace, have a peace accord, all of that. So their growth trajectory is now growing. They're urbanizing rapidly. Number of settlements there, all densifying, etc. They're also at the base of the Himalayas. So all of the rivers pass through them and then go to the Brahmaputra. So it's a very interesting and fragile region. Lot of wildlife corridors, elephants, the Manas National Park, a lot of the national parks are here. 1/3 of Borderland is under forest cover. Technically, they're only about, as per last census, they were only about 5% urban, but high population densities. So this was a very unique region. And so we did a land suitability analysis, understanding your forest cover. So all your assets, your natural assets, where are they located? They're of course protected by Forest Acts, etc. The rivers, water bodies, areas where settlements are located, where are your transport corridors. So we do a multi-layer analysis in land suitability analysis. We also know which are the areas prone to flooding. We also know, for example, because it's at the base of the Himalayas, the rivers also oscillate. In one season they'll flow this way. As it silts up, it shifts bank and goes to the other side. So you have to consider all of this in your planning processes. It's not that river is running here, I can build here. No. Historic data kya कहती है, kind of thing. If historically you're having an oscillation, you cannot build on either bank.
Yeah.
So that is the land suitability analysis. And we look at flood risk, heat risk. You won't think of heat in the Himalayas, but any increase in temperature, suddenly if the temperature increases by 5 degrees, it's uncomfortable. Even if your base is little lower than the rest of the country. So looking at all of these environmental risks, climate risks, pathways, settlements, your economy, your transport, we then do a land suitability analysis and we tell them these are the best areas to develop.
Yeah.
And these are the best areas to conserve. So that is a precursor layer. It has been done in a few places like Bangalore and Mumbai region in the past. But this kind of a regional analysis is critical to development. It will prevent you building in the wrong places, prevent you building in ecologically sensitive areas. It's coming back to bite you only. You're building in this place, it's going to flood tomorrow. So you have to plan in advance for this. So this is a land suitability analysis. Yeah.
And recently, I remember during this last rainy season itself, the Dehradun has one location called Hazardous Road. Now this is all the road within the city. Earlier, it was a stream of the river only, which was coming, and then the people just got the whole thing developed. And I think the last season there was a cloud burst, and then the entire region, lot of households, lot of people, population got damaged just because of the sudden, because the water has to have a way out. When you build it with the road or such infrastructure, water will certainly make the
Absolutely,
issues.
yes.
Yeah. One more point, I think, Rejeet, that I want to touch base in terms of heat waves component. We see a lot of cities are not adequately planned in terms of managing the heat radiation. Most of the cases, maybe I think either through the policy or through the procurement, most of the cases the greeneries or maybe I think the landscape areas, they get changed to the hard paved surfaces.
Absolutely.
Because of the maintenance cost at the maybe municipal level or maybe I think at the city level. But this has resulted in a lot of maybe stored heat at the city level.
Yes.
And this eventually will result in terms of having more air conditioners because people want to have a comfort conditions.
Yes.
How to manage this issue with respect to maybe I think having more greeneries around, make the neighborhood more greener. So maybe I think any specific 2-3 points that can be done at the city level to make the city more maybe I think livable from the maybe I think optimized cooling perspective and less heat island impact perspective.
Absolutely. So I was talking about how there's certain notions. People see some of this paving as modern.
Yeah.
We are building glass and steel buildings. I mean, I come from Gurgaon. It's a glass and steel building, enclave.
You have a best case study.
Yes, because climatic, you have to look at a number of things. Like I was saying, one is at your city expansion level itself. Where to build, where not to build is the fundamental layer that comes in. After you've done that and you know which are your conservation areas, protect them and all of that, your built form that comes on these areas that should be developed should be appropriate to the local climate. Now, in a place which is like we have a 9-month summer almost, it's a hot, dry region. Glass and steel buildings are the worst possible, option. Now, this has come in because, it's great for attracting global clients. The exact same square foot kind of building with glass and steel that you see in a cold country, you're going to get here. So it's great to attract a client, right? Like who's a global, IT giant or something. You can bring them and say, we'll give you this much square footage. Here's the infrastructure in place. It's a good copy paste. It might be good, but the amount of heat they're going to bring into a building through the glass, and steel is so much that your air conditioning loads are going to go higher.
Yeah.
So building appropriate buildings as per your climatology. I mean, we've learned this in architecture. We do climatology courses in architecture. But when you come out, the demand from the market is very different. And developers will go with the demand and getting the business in. So I think a number of things. I mean, I give you an example I was quite unhappy about in my own society. We have a nice children's park. It's completely natural, grass covered, sand and trees and all of that. A decision came from the society saying that we are going to cover it with concrete and put EPDM, which is basically, a rubberized layer on top, because there are complaints that the sand is not clean, because, people want a clean surface. And it was a decision taken by the society. So I had to start writing and putting it on WhatsApp groups saying this is a very bad idea. You're not only going to stop the percolation of water, that borewell we're taking water out of from the groundwater, but they want to put a concrete layer.
You are not replenishing the water.
The trees are not going to get water which are in the park. The grass is going to go, so your cover on the soil is going to go. So it's notions of people. I do think we really need better communication around this. We have the solutions. We need better communication and ecological, sort of, what should I say, understanding has to come in before you make these decisions. And this is happening everywhere, really fighting these kind of changes that are coming in our cities.
Yeah, I totally understand. I think most of the cases, these decisions come from maybe, I think, optimized cost perspective, or maybe I think the less maintenance. Certainly, I think the cost is the main...
and some perceptions of modernity. Because when I objected to this and I said, these are my reasons, they're like, go to any modern school and you will see this is what they use in their playgrounds. And I said, can you go to that school? It's such a small school. It's built on a basement. If you have a concrete layer, you need to soften it with some rubber. I understand. But you're an old society. Ground, you have natural ground. Why would you give it away and compromise on it? So a lot of conversation, communication is required.
No, I totally agree. I think you mentioned communication. I totally agree that science-based communications, I think they are very much required. I think how the government, communities, local stakeholders, I think how we all contribute to this science-based communication. People in general have their own mindset and understanding and theory and philosophy to deal with the situation. I think somewhere these communication has to be there, driven by maybe I think the local communities, so that people can understand that instead of this, if you do this, this may have a better implications or the output there. So I think I totally value the science-based communication, and maybe I think this podcast is also about all these things as well.
Exactly. And we have lots of students who listen to our podcast. So what Rejeet Mathews would like to tell our students is very important, because if I wish you can talk to them in details about how they should perceive their career around policies, around think tanks. So this is one of the areas where students have very little knowledge to what can be done there. Your take on that?
We're happy to invite them to our office to see our work, because we are a think tank and a do tank. So we also do work across city regions. So we're happy to sort of share our work. But for students, I think you can come from any discipline, because, urban planning, cities are not the ivory tower of only urban planners, urban designers, etc. The city has to be a multidisciplinary space. Whether you're an economist, sociologist, whichever subject, historian, history-related studies, no matter which sector you come from, the city is where we all come together. It is no longer one architect's building. It is the city. So you are building places for everybody. Unless we have a people movement in place. In fact, when I was mentioning we work on eco-city regions, our principles itself are that it is a systems thinking. Your expertise might be plastic related. So in our waste system, you are critical. Your expertise might be environment related. In our environmental systems, you are critical. You might be a transport, maybe an engineer making, say, coaches. You're critical to our public transport layers. So no matter which discipline you come from, as long as you're interested in public good and commons. Commons is your resources, right? Like we all share commons, whether it is clean air. I mean, we wish for clean air, water, resources. It's common. None of us own it. It belongs to the world. If you're interested in public good and commons like this, I would even go and extend further and say commons include public transport, includes public parks, all of this. If this is what you'd like to do, this is a profession for you. And you will find your niche as you come into this space.
So, Rejeet, we have a rapid fire round. Maybe I think coming from an urban planning perspective, what is your favorite planned urban city?
If they can get a few things right, whether it's, having that public transport backbone, mixed use, mixed income, high density, mid to high densities, access to public parks and spaces for all. I think if you get all these ingredients right, you've got a good city. And a lot of our core cities have this. So when you say city, for me, I think about core and periphery, and a lot of cores are very good. The peripheries are not, whether it's Delhi, Bangalore, most cities. I studied in Ahmedabad, for example. A lot of the core cities are beautiful and very good. We've not grown it that way. We've grown too rapidly and unplanned, unserviced. So that's our problem.
The second question is, if there's a ministry called Ministry of Possibility, and this ministry has a duty to bring the urban reforms, and you are appointed as a minister to this ministry, then what would be your first order to bring the reform at the city level?
Municipal cadre upgradation. We have to have somebody responsible for the city in the municipal offices. I'm not talking big cities only. We have thousands of cities. In our 10,000 cities, good municipal cadre. They can then root in the right concepts, right planning, right finance, everything to come in. So you need cadre on the ground.
One book you recommend all these upcoming people who are connected to cities to read?
I enjoyed this book called Struggling Giants by Paul Cantor. It kind of gave me a good understanding of especially mega cities and how they manage to keep people in, what are their specialities. It's like, for example, why does London have the royal family, right? It's very important economically for them to have the royal family, because the culture, a lot of things are connected. So it had very good insights. So it's a little older book, but I like that one.
Very nice. Let us assume a hypothetical situation, Rejeet, and then you are given three options. One is Haryana, UP, and Kerala, and you get to settle one of these specific locations in these states. Based on the current political scenario, which will be your pick?
I'll actually go to Bangalore because I think at the end of the day, it is also your connections to your family, your friends. All these are critical to,
We keep on going to all the cities in India. Bangalore is beautiful for the climate and worse for the transport.
Which is fixable. They only need to fix it. That's the thing. Some things just need to be fixed. I wish people come together to fix things. Yeah.
Very nice. What is your latest sustainable habit that you have adopted?
Switch the household shampoo from bottles to bars. So they're just paper covered and they're bars. Yeah. So we've done away with the bottles, plastic bottles accumulating in the house. But other than that, I take public transport. I carry my own water, so I do a few things. But of course.
Very nice. Okay. So as an urban planner, if we ask you to have one specific tagline to communicate to the to the lower bottom or to the upper bottom, so what will be your, maybe I think the favorite tagline or one-liner would be for setting up the better urban planning practices?
Do public good. Like, think about the impact of your actions.
Okay.
No matter where you are. I mean,
Public
of course,
good, yeah.
public good. Like, think about the commons, the public good before you take certain decisions
Bring
and
the
actions.
public values.
Like, just, you should know you're part of a system. You are not the center of the system. That's the problem. If I think of myself as the center, then I'm accumulating to myself. But if I think of me as part of a system, then I should think about everybody else also.
Wonderful having you here in our office and studio and talking to you and learning from you, Rejeet. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rejeet. I think this is certainly a great experience for me as well. I'm sure the discussion and the experience that Rejeet you have shared with us, with our audience, so they certainly be enjoying. And thank you so much once again. If you have any specific question and query to Rejeet, we will put her email ID in the description of the channel. You can always write to her back directly. If you have any specific suggestion or the queries or the questions to us, or you have any guest suggestion, you can write to us at social@greentree.global. Thank you so much for your listening. Keep enjoying the podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much, my co-host, Dashing. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.